If we were to look at your trash, what would we learn about you?
Wow. Well, that I'm a vegetarian because all my products are vegetarian products, like, vegetarian burgers and, things like that.
Oh, okay.
I like to snack a lot, like chips,
Yes.
like protein bars. Like you just see a bunch of food. Yeah.
Heck yeah. Me too, man. What's something that you throw away a lot of?
Probably seltzer cans. Really any type of beverage cans, Diet Coke cans, just they accumulate so much. We have to start crushing them in order to get them in the recycling bin. And if we miss trash day, we're like screwed because they just pile up in our backyard. Yeah.
They would learn a lot about our eating habits. It's pretty much it. The food stuff, the packaging, the little bits of food that we didn't quite finish. Yeah, they could map out our whole menu for the week.
Yogurt cups. I eat a lot of yogurt. So that's just, my trash is just full of like mostly food residue.
Yeah.
In past episodes, we learned how to limit our food trash by recycling wrappers and cans, and we learned how to get food scraps out of our trash by composting. But are there ways to get food to our houses without packaging? That's what we're about to get into. Welcome to the Circle Up podcast, where we tell the stories of the circular economy in Philadelphia.
Well, so let's circle up. I'm Candice Lawton, the Executive Director of Circular Philadelphia.
And I'm Sam Wittchen, one of the co-founders of Circular Philadelphia.
In the last episode, we heard all about how local businesses, Bennett Compost and Circle Compost, are helping both residents and the city turn their food waste into valuable compost that's used to improve our soil here in Philly. This episode, we're talking about other opportunities for circularity in our food systems.
And there are a bunch. A lot of our food comes in packaging, whether that's stuff we buy at the grocery store or the dinner we get from our favorite takeout spot. And so much of that packaging is single-use plastic.
In fact, packaging makes up 40% of total plastic waste.
It's a lot. We heard in the first episode about how Philly businesses are trying to make sure more of that waste gets recycled, but we also have a few businesses that are working to reduce packaging waste in the first place by offering the food they sell in reusable containers and packaging.
We're going to hear from a couple of them, but solving the single-use packaging issue isn't a burden that we can just place on small food businesses. It really requires policy changes to support the shift from single-use to reusables, because making the shift has upfront costs for businesses.
That's why Circular Philadelphia put forth a policy paper for single-use plastic legislation in Philly that would support adoption of reusable containers through policy change. The proposed policy would create a fund that would be available to businesses who want to make the switch from non-recyclable single-use packaging to something that's recyclable, compostable, or reusable.
But some of the businesses we'll hear from in this episode have already made the switch, even without supportive legislation.
Name is Munish Narula. We're in Tiffin on Fairmount Avenue. This is our newest Tiffin, our 11th location. So Tiffin itself is a British word. It stands to have a meal, lunch, or a lunch box. And that's why we picked Tiffin, because originally it was supposed to be a web-only, delivery-only service. It was kind of modeled after what in India is called a dabbawala service. It's a tiffin service. It is a highly efficient. They do it all over India now, but it used to be in Mumbai only, in the city of Mumbai, where it started, where it actually dates back to British era, when the British were in India. So the Indians who worked for British companies or British government, they were not allowed to eat there. So their wives will cook the food. These dabbawalas or tiffin carrier service walas, they will go to their house, pick up the food, pick up the tiffin, deliver it to the office. They will have the tiffin, and then they will go back to their office, take the empty containers and deliver it back to their house with a 99.9% efficiency and accuracy. It is to this day the most amazing thing They have lower, at one point it was a Harvard Business School case study as to how efficient they were. They made less mistakes than, at one point I read, they made less mistakes than doctors delivering babies in the United States. So that's how Tiffin, the name Tiffin came along, and the website tiffin.com. The whole idea initially was to not have a restaurant and have put more focus on home style, very light, like food that we will cook at home. And restaurant food is obviously always a little richer, more butter, more cream, that kind of stuff. And so we created menus that will rotate and change every day. So the first thing was the menu changed every day. So as a consumer, you knew that you're getting food that was cooked in the morning. There was no way we could have cooked it on Tuesday and served it on Thursday if the menu changes every day. And we kind of had a cutoff time. Like for lunch, you had to order by, I think it was 10 a.m. So that gave us like, we will have all the prep ready, but by 10 a.m. we'll have a good idea of how much we needed to cook. So we only cooked almost to the T. We try to use a hub and spoke system, sort of like what the Dabbawalas did in Mumbai, where they would grab tiffins from all over the place, meet in one central location, then distribute it again and send it out to different directions. So we try to do that where we would get all the orders in. We'll already know at 10 a.m. how much food we need to prepare. More importantly, we knew where the food was going. So one of us will sit down and route the food deliveries. So if we have Rittenhouse Square, University City, so one driver will take Rittenhouse Square, University City, West Philly, so he would just keep dropping food and keep moving on. So they didn't go like now we do. If somebody orders food, we send one driver with one bag. That was a lot more efficient, especially at that time, because delivery was not a thing then. Only pizza places delivered, or maybe some Chinese restaurant. Indian food delivery or any other kind of delivery was not a thing. And delivery was and to this date is very expensive. But by doing that, we were able to cut the cost. We had figured out at that time, and I'm talking 2007, that if we delivered only one bag with the driver, it will cost us $4.75 or somewhere around there with the cost of fuel, insurance, and everything else that goes in for one delivery, which would make it unprofitable to even do that, because we only charge $10 or $11 for our lunch special. But by doing the multiple deliveries and routing it for drivers, we'll go with like 15, 20, 30 bags just in hot bags in their car and just keep going from stop to stop to stop, and then an hour later just come back. That dropped our average delivery cost to close to $1, which now we could make money. Our first location was at Girard Avenue. It's still there. Fortunately, we have never closed a restaurant that we opened, so Girard Avenue is still there 17, 18 years later. And like I said, we're up to 11 now, and all company owned. And Tiffin was supposed to be a web-only, delivery-only service when the idea was hatched. And so partly why we ended up at Girard Avenue, because the location didn't matter to us. Girard Avenue was not the prime restaurant location, especially in 2007. So it didn't matter to us. It was a very accessible area, very close to the 95, easy to get to 676. So for delivery purposes, it worked really well. And we did start as a delivery-only, web-only, delivery-only service, where we did not even have a phone number for people to call. They had to go to the website. We had a fully e-commerce capable website in 2007. I'm talking before Grubhubs and before even big boys like Domino's and all these guys had online ordering. But it eventually, people started coming to us and saying, why can't I order at noon and come pick it up? So we introduced what we called at that time an all-day menu. Then it went from, well, why can't I come sit here? So we have a very small area at Girard Avenue. So I remember my chef and I, we went to IKEA and we picked up 4 tables. They were all colorful tables. One was red, one was yellow, one was blue, because we just wanted to have fun with it. It wasn't supposed to be a serious dining room. And people just started coming in. People would wait outside on Girard Avenue just to get in. I was like, this is amazing. For a while, our biggest problem was finding more staff because the business just kept growing. We're closer to a restaurant now, and people didn't want to commit to ordering food at 9 a.m. when they knew they could come. So we kind of killed our own business, cannibalized our own USP, so to say, by introducing all-day menu and seating and all that stuff. So in hindsight, who knows what could have been, but we've done well. So around 2014, 2015, we had started doing so much carry-out and delivery that our customers started coming to us and said to us that we will order more, but you use so much plastic that it kind of makes us take a pause. We don't know what to do with it. We don't know how to recycle it. We don't know how to, which bins they go in, all that kind of stuff. And they repeatedly kept saying, I'll order more frequently if you had a better packaging solution. And we kept looking, not as aggressively as first, but it was in the back of our mind. Okay, hopefully we can find a different solution. Then I started going to food shows and stuff, and we could not find the right container. So we were trying to find a solution, but when we cook our sauces and stuff, when they come off the pan, they are 200 degrees. So any of the eco-friendly container, especially because we're doing a lot of carry-out and delivery, the food sits there for a long time. And that created a problem because either the container will get so soft that it might break upon taking out of the bag, or it'll start leaking in the bag. We'll bring containers to the restaurant and just put food in it and let it sit for an hour and a half and see what it did. So we could not find a good solution, even as much as we wanted to move away from the plastic as much as we wanted and give the customers a more eco-friendly solution. We just couldn't find a solution. Then I read about a company in New York that was doing something similar where they were trying to have the reusable containers. So I reached out to them and I said, hey, where are you getting your containers from? Turns out it's a company out of Texas called GET. Now they're making the containers in China, but they're a US company based in Texas. So we reached out to them, tried their samples, it really worked. It's plastic, but they claim that you can use it about 1,000 times. It's good, sturdy plastic, and obviously then that's not cheap. But capital investment in the containers was not the biggest challenge. The bigger challenge was the technology and how to track it, how to find out if the customers want it, and if they take it, how to make sure that they return it. So we're not, every time we send out an order, with those containers, it could have anywhere from $15 to $25 worth of containers in it. So we can't just keep losing those containers. So fortunately for us, we have our own POS system, our own custom-built online ordering and POS system. So we worked with our technology folks to put it into our system and our online ordering, where it took us about 9 months to develop the exact technology needed to track and do everything. Where when you place an order, when any customer places an order on our website, once they go to checkout, it asks them, it'll give them an option whether you want to use a single-use container or would you like a reusable container. And the reason for that was that we knew not everybody would be interested in returning those containers or holding on to in their house, so we had to give an option. And if you chose reusable container on our website, then it'll take you to another page. We'll say, okay, we're gonna send you these. You have 4 weeks to return them. You can either give it to a driver on the next delivery order, or you can bring it back to any of the stores. So instead of putting the food in a regular single-use container, we will put it in our green reusable containers. And for every single-use container, we have a complimentary. I call it green container because it's actually green in color, which green and green works both ways, but it's actually green in color. So we'll just kitchen guys will also go green container. That we don't call it reusable container in the back. So they will pack the entire order in those reusable containers. So it's only thing that changes in the whole process is instead of putting it in a single-use container, we put it in a reusable container. Customers come and pick it up. They take it home with them. A lot of people get deliveries from us regularly, so they hand the empty containers back to the driver next time they order. Or they will bring it back. They can bring it back to any of the locations. Like if you got it from Fairmount and you work here, but you live in Wynwood, you can just drop it off in Wynwood and return it that way. And as soon as we rolled it out, it went gangbusters. We thought we had ordered enough containers to last us. We were out in like 4 days. Because we gave people 4 weeks to bring it back, and all the containers just flew out the door, and then all of a sudden we were like, people want the containers, so we have no containers. So there was a lull in between where we had customers who wanted it, but we had no containers to send out because we underestimated the demand and gave people too much time to bring it back. So we did order a lot more containers, finally got everything worked out. One of the most interesting things that happened during the rollout, which I thought was wild, Philadelphia Inquirer ran a story on our reusable container program. Very positive story, and that also started pushing more people to using those containers. And on a Tuesday morning, I believe it was, I have a call with the city. City Hall reached out to me. Somebody from City Hall reached out to me and said, hey, we like this program. We would like to know more about it, and we would like to see if we can help more businesses kind of get into this program. I'm literally on the call when I get a text message that the health department is at Mount Airy location. As it turned out, they were there to shut down the program. So they shut the program down, saying that there was nothing in the code about how to use these in the Philadelphia Health Code, so we can't use the program. We went out to them and said, you gotta be kidding us. Like, we're trying to do a good thing here. And you just shut us down, shut the whole program down. And it's like, no, we get it. We don't want to shut it down, but we also want to make sure that we are all on the same page and we're all in compliance. Okay. Now, this is when I really got to know Circle of Philadelphia. We reached out. Long story short, the Philadelphia Health Department introduced a subsection in their inspection sheets where if you're using a reusable container, this is what the inspectors will look for. And once they put it in their health code, we were allowed to use it again. That was very interesting how that whole thing worked out. But it was resolved very quickly. Credit to Philadelphia Health Department, Circle Philadelphia, and everybody. And we were able to use the program again. Very successful program to this date. We feel that our business has gone up. There's no way to quantify it. There's really no way for me to say, oh, because we started using this program, our sales went up this much. But we know our sales went up. How much of that we can attribute to that program, or just in general positive PR that we generated out of it. But our sales did go up year over year during that period by almost 8%. Just a significant number when you put in 8-9 restaurants together. The best part was that people will stop me in the restaurant and go, thank you very much for doing this. Okay, Let me take that back. Not everybody loves it. There is a strong group who love the program and are very vocal about it and are supporting the program for the last 5 years. And they're the ones who will bring them back in 2-3 days of taking the containers because they love the program, they love the fact that it's helping the environment and they don't have to throw out all these plastic containers. A larger majority is happy with the single-use container. And even though they have the option of reusable containers, I guess they, like I said, they don't want to be bothered of saving them after they're done and then having to bring them back to the restaurant, the responsibility or whatever you want to call it. They don't want that. We've also had customers who refuse to order from us because they heard we reuse our containers because they don't want that. So it's like, well, we do have single-use containers for you, but they called us and told us they were not going to order from us. It was like, it is no different than you using the same plate, the restaurant uses 5 times during a dinner shift. It goes back, it gets washed, it gets sanitized, and it gets put back on the table. No, but I don't want containers that were used by somebody else. Okay. We can't just force people to use it because they will just go somewhere else. Like we cannot not give them an option of single-use containers. Then they don't want to bring it back, or something else will come up, or they won't come back second time around. And that's why we love the people who are using it because they're avid believers. I want to say about a little less than a quarter of our orders, about 22% of our orders, last we checked, go out in reusable containers. So there's still almost 70% of people who say, well, I don't want it. Our return rate, when we last looked at it, was in high 80%. So closer to like 87, 88% of the containers that went out came back. 10% didn't come back. Technically, we were supposed to charge for them. We had already had the authorization from the customer that we could charge for them. We have never charged a single customer. Economically, it works great for us because after about 10 uses, even though it's a higher price container, 10 to 12 uses depending on the container, we have paid, if we were using single-use containers and we used 12 of them, the cost of that would have paid for the one reusable container. Now, after 12 uses, every time it goes out, we save money. So it's actually helping our bottom line, even though capital investment early on is not small. If the program is successful and is run for a longer period of time, it actually helps us. It actually saves us money. So say a typical order would have 5 to 6 single-use containers. That's about 80-90 cents to us. Call it $1. And if we have used those reusable containers 10, 12, 11, 12, 13 times, they're paid for themselves. Every time that bag goes out, it saves $1 and helps the environment and makes our customers happy. And they come back again more frequently. And I know there are customers out there who might say, well, this Indian restaurant is closer to me, but I'm gonna go to Tiffin just because of that reason. Not because I love their food a lot more than the other guy, just because they want to do their part in supporting us and in supporting the environment. Because they know they're gonna get a takeout from somewhere, might as well be Tiffin and might as well be reusable containers. So in the long run, it is helping us save money as well. So a lot of people have asked me, well, isn't it very expensive to run the program? You're losing money. And actually, we're not. We're actually saving money. I think absolutely everyone should be using the program. The benefits are just outweigh the initial cost, startup cost of the program and the challenges technology-wise. We're fortunate that we had our own proprietary POS system, so we were able to built this program into it. Like if we were using Toast or one of these big guys, they would have never done it for us. Not for just a small 7, 8, 10 restaurant chain. There would have been too much work for them. But I think where there is a will, there's a way. People can find other ways. It doesn't have to be technologically savvy as in online tracking and emails generations and all that stuff. Smaller mom and pop operations can, especially if you have a single unit and you're there all day, which a lot of restaurant owners are, single restaurant owners are, I think they can manually even track it if they wanted to. And the best part about it is the customers are so happy about the program that they make sure that it comes back. It is being done in other places. There are companies out there doing it. Some of them in cafeteria settings where one larger entity is responsible for providing all this. I have a couple of friends with the Philadelphia Eagles where I've said to them, hey, you should have that at the stadium. You know, it's easy because you have a captive audience at the stadium. Instead of using all this, have reusable containers, have drop boxes wherever you want in the stadium. People can just throw them there and they're just recycled. Especially because Philadelphia Eagles are very heavy on being eco-friendly, and but it sounds easier than it is. It is a little more complicated. I hope and I wish more businesses will adopt it. More customers will start using it. I mean, just even though we think it's a very successful program for us, only about 20% of the people use it, and we think that's a success. So there's still, just within our group, our 11 restaurants, there's still so much more room. I don't think we can do anything more as a business, as a restaurant, to convince people that they should use it. I think it has to come from people, and like I said before, people who believe in this wholeheartedly. Like they will come in here and every time they'll hand it back, like, thank you for doing this. Thank you for using this program. And we are promoting it very heavily on our website. We promote it very heavily in all our marketing, social media. So I'm not sure if there's anything else we could do internally to convince people. I think there's enough data, reports, and research out there that has shown the benefits of reusable containers and not, or more like the downside of using single-use containers and bags and stuff. So if that didn't convince them, I don't know if I can. I don't know. Some sort of a marketing campaign coming from the city might be helpful. I don't know if they have the budget or the resources to do something like that. We do live in times where every time we turn on the news, it says we are in a budget crisis of some kind or the other. So probably their money will be better spent on school district than reusable containers maybe. I don't know. I don't have the answer. There is an upfront cost. Those things are not cheap, and to stock up is not cheap. It's a capital requirement. But if you run it successfully over a longer period of time, it actually starts paying you back. So I can't see a con to it. If you gave me a piece of paper and say write pros and write cons, I don't know if I have any cons for it, except for the high startup cost and the technological challenge of tracking everything. But those are small. That's a small price to pay for a long-term benefit and cost benefit, not just environmental cost benefit. Like I've said it to everybody who listen, it's not just an eco-friendly decision, it's a smart business decision. Our sales have gone up, we're seeing more frequent orders from people who use that program. We actually ended up, we save money. You know, plastic is one of our biggest pollutants. I mean, it's everywhere. The same reason that city banned plastic bags. So everybody understands the dangers and perils that it is causing the environment, and that the effects of it will be felt over the next few decades. And the more we can do now, the better it will be for the future. And you know, for my kids, I have 2 sons. Younger one is 17, and I think we have lived a good portion of our life, but they're just starting out. We have the responsibility to give them a beautiful planet, just like we got it.
That was Munish Narula from Tiffin, delivering dinner in sustainable packaging throughout the Philadelphia region. It's really cool that customers were some of the driving force for reusable containers.
Yeah, people really do vote with their dollars. And people want to be part of the solution, but they also want it to be easy. And that's what Philly FoodWorks focuses on, making reuse easy for their customers. One of the things that allows them to use reusable containers is working within a local food system, which means you don't have to deal with some of the same things the larger food system has to worry about, like shelf life and transportation from thousands of miles away.
My name is Baird, and we are sitting at the Philly FoodWorks warehouse. Philly FoodWorks is an online farmers market. So we run an online market where customers can go in weekly and shop for products, as well as subscribe to different products and farm boxes and things like that. But that's kind of just that's the part that everyone sees, or part that everyone interacts with. What we like to think is that we are part of the movement to build a local food system here in Philadelphia. There was a big Michigan State study that did an analysis of how far does the food on your plate travel. And they found that the average piece of food on your plate traveled 1,494 miles to get to your plate. For us, most of it is all from 150 miles. So it's about 10% of the distance. So anything, something from the grocery store is traveling 10 times farther than it's traveling from Philly FoodWorks. The reason it's important that food is, coming from local areas is that it's about the resiliency of the system. So what if these larger systems collapse? What happens? So like through COVID, we experienced that, like supply chain issues, and all of a sudden grocery shelves were empty. When you're eating local food, much higher chance of the freshness of that food. So yeah, you can really cheaply transport tomatoes from Mexico, but those tomatoes might be sitting on a truck for 2 weeks. They might then be sitting in a warehouse for a week. They might be whatever. So we've then hybridized these tomatoes and we've grown them for their shippability. So we get like a bright red tomato that tastes like nothing. The name Philly FoodWorks is actually, the impetus for it was thinking about our city has a gas works, a water works, and we need to think about a food works for our city. And so that looks like a lot of relationships with farmers and other producers and people within the supply and value chain, as well as just like coordinating all of the logistics and mapping out trucking routes. And we've just had to get really creative because a lot of those systems didn't exist when we started out doing this 10 years ago, 11 years ago now. The sort of ultimate goal of our company is to think about what our food system will look like in the city in 30 to 50 years. So in 30 to 50 years, I personally expect the industrial food system to collapse. So whether that is like because we've gone into a World War III scenario, because the climate change has happened, like whatever, there are so many existential threats right now, and we kind of all can feel that like capitalism as like a dominant mode of production in the last 500 years is like, it's getting ready to collapse. And so when we think about a local food system and building a local food system, that's kind of our end goal, is like, how will Philadelphia eat in 30 to 50 years? And so in that, because we're thinking about that, and we're thinking about not just how will they eat in 30 to 50 years when the system collapses, but also like, how will we have a food system that we can use for the next 500 years? Like, we have to think about our waste streams in that. So actually 99% of all of our produce packaging is either returnable or compostable. So all of our paper bags are, and by compostable I mean like at home compostable, not the like, oh yeah, it's compostable, but you can put it in your Bennett compost bucket. It's Tim approved. When it comes to like our actual boxes, we are delivering in a wax produce box, which we can reuse up to 10 times as long as people open their boxes correctly. There's a specific, like they're like perforated or like sort of indented edges that you need to fold along. Some people just sort of rip, and then we can't use that box again. But people send their boxes back. We also have insulated cold sleeves and ice packs that we put refrigerated and frozen items in. Those are also returned, so customers will leave those products out. They get a delivery, then they schedule their next delivery with us. They leave those products out. Our drivers pick up the return packaging, drop off the new packaging. It comes back to our warehouse to be sorted, sanitized, and then reused. We also use a plastic clamshell that is returnable. We use this for our baby greens. However, we have moved to more compostable bags for our baby greens, but we still use it for like really delicate products. It's a plastic clamshell that people are familiar with. It's made from post-consumer recycled plastic. It's sturdier than the sort of like flimsy one that you might be used to in the grocery store. And yeah, we asked people to rinse those things, send them back to us, and then we go through like, we had to get approved by the health department, which was actually a cool connection, partnership with Circular Philly. So I was interested in doing returnable clamshells, and I reached out and just said like I'm trying to do this. I know you guys did some stuff with Tiffin and their reusable containers, like what do we do here? And then we got approved. We ended up getting inspected, like a health department, when they came out and did their inspection. We get inspected, on a regular frequency. And when they came out, they like watched our sanitation process. Everything, was kosher. And yeah, so we take those. We also take like returnable jars from Fishtown Pickles. And those we just send back to Fishtown Pickles, and they have a sanitation process. And we do glass bottle milk. So that's also something that we don't sanitize here. We send it back to the dairy and they do the sanitation process. We're not charging our customers a deposit when they get the material, but we do track internally and count returns. And we basically get about 2/3 of all of our packaging returned. Clamshells are a little less, they're more like 50%. Glass bottle milk is more like 80%. And then everything else, but it all kind of averages out when you look at our wax boxes and our cold sleeves and everything, we're getting about 2/3 of everything back. It's like $2,000 of return materials a week, I think is what it was. So it's a ton of money and like a ton of packaging material. There's a person, Maurice, who runs like our loading dock area and does all of our helps our drivers load up and receives deliveries, and then just sorts boxes all day. We're saving like a lot of money on these packaging materials, which, because we're buying food that has a higher cost of production, so when we can save on the packaging costs, it's really helpful, because it is like our cost of packaging is something like 1%, like between like 1% and 2% of our budget. It's a lot higher for other e-commerce delivery companies. And by saving money there, we're able to then keep our prices down, or it enables us to keep our prices down. Now, if you saw our pricing, you might say like, why, what do you mean keep your prices down? Like, these tomatoes are still so expensive or whatever. Well, yeah, they also weren't harvested by, enslaved people, and that is more expensive. I think it's interesting that so much of when people talk about circular economy and circular systems, it's always about packaging. reusable containers and reusable this and reusable that, as I mentioned in the beginning, is important. We got to do it. I think it also shows the framework by which we're looking at it. Like, we live in a material world. So of course, this circular thing we're obsessing about is a material, you know, or is the packaging, is the whatever. I think that the circular economy will, as people start to, as the non-circular, the waste stream economy, you know, continues to implode on itself, people will start thinking about circular economies in different ways. And I think that people can think about circular economies. I really challenge people who are interested in this stuff to think beyond the like packaging reusable container. And to think about like, you know, one hand washes the other. If I pay my employees, we exist in a capitalist structure here. There's wage labor. If I pay my employees higher wage, they can afford the food at Philly Foodworks. You know, I think like that, thinking about that is like, that is a circular, like these are the, this is where we need to start thinking about circularity. Crop planting is something that's really interesting because in the industrial food system, there is a lot of pressure on farmers to produce because that creates more and more supply, which then creates a smaller amount of demand relative to the supply, which means that they can go and tell the farmers, they can get lower and lower prices from the farmers. We take a very opposite approach. So instead of telling 10 farmers to all grow tomatoes, and then when tomatoes come in saying, hey, you know, Sally, you know, what's your price on tomatoes? And then going, hey, John, you know, Sally's got this. Can you beat Sally's price? And now, you know, this is not circular. Like this is extractive. And so what we do is we go to Sunny Harvest, which is where we buy most of our tomatoes from, and we work out a price at the beginning of the year. That price at the beginning of the year is going to be cheaper than they could be getting in in a different marketplace, but that price is going to be higher than what they're going to be getting at the end of the season. And we don't tell all of the farmers we work with know that, you know, we might buy some tomatoes here and there. Sunny doesn't really do heirlooms, so we're getting our heirlooms from somewhere else. But slicers, we might still buy them from another farm here and there, but for the most part, they know, don't go to Philly Foodworks and try to sell them slicer tomatoes, because Philly Foodworks buys all their slicer tomatoes from Sunny Harvest. What's great about that is that now that farm, instead of growing a bunch of slicer tomatoes that I'm now going to pit two farmers against themselves, are going, hey Dylan, what do you need? You know, like, you know, you guys got green garlic from us last year. You can do green garlic again this year? Absolutely, Aaron. We're going to do, you know, yep, we'll do a big run. That'll be 700. Then for the market, we'll do X, Y, and Z. And so we're able to like do a form of production planning, which the free market, you know, the like theorists in the free market are like, oh, well, the market production plans itself. No, the market doesn't production plan itself. Like, yes, at some level it does, absolutely. But because the purpose of the market is to extract as much capital and profit as possible, it plans to an ends that is extraction of profit. So getting back to circular. So like that is a way in which like we're doing circular production planning in that sense. We're telling our farmers what we need, they're growing what we need, we're buying what we need from them. We're eliminating so much waste in that system. And so when people talk about like, oh, 40% of the food in this country is wasted, well, a lot of that waste is happening all along the supply chain. And a big place that waste is happening is in overproduction. Or maybe it's like, maybe there's like changing of perspective. So like, you know, it was funny to me because like when you saw the growth of the ugly vegetable thing, you know, Imperfect Produce and Hungry Harvest and Misfits Market, like it was such a capitalist response to a problem, because it's like, they were like, oh my God, there's all of this food that is getting thrown out that we can buy really cheap and rebrand it and make a bunch of money, you know? And it's like, all right, like that's like cute, but like you were able to exploit an inefficiency in the market at a short term. You did it really quickly, you did it really well, you guys made a bunch of money, but like that market, that isn't going to that they're going to start charging you more for that food, and then pretty soon your whole thing is going to be messed up because now that stuff that you were buying for pennies on the dollar, they're just going to be like, oh, we can just charge you more because look how much you're selling it for. I'm interested in a system that doesn't create the waste in the beginning because of these relationships that exist between the producers and the buyers, and even on the consumer's end. So then on the consumer's end, it's like, oh, you guys are marketing this as ugly carrots. We just call those carrots at Philly FoodWorks. Like, our customers just know that that's what a carrot looks like, and they just buy that carrot. So the question was like, what is the difference between your tomatoes or your eggs and the system's eggs? Well, the system is like a lot of things in the production of those eggs are meant to extract profit. And I think actually that's a really big difference, because if the purpose was to drive down costs, then it would be about great, we all can afford eggs, but that's not the purpose. The purpose is to extract profit. So that could be hey, chickens like to live outside. They like to peck out in the dirt. They like to chase bugs. We're gonna take away that chicken's quality of life and put 30,000 birds into maybe a 10,000 square foot barn. But now they're getting diseases. So we're going to inject them with these things so they don't get diseases. They're giving them fertility drugs so that they'll lay more and more eggs. You need people to harvest these eggs. These are horrible conditions. Who's gonna do this? And so this whole system is built to extract capital from the chicken, from the environment, where these costs that are offset onto the environment that aren't accounted for, from the people who are harvesting them. And there's a lot of systems oh, and look, we can get away paying someone 79 cents a day because they can get enough calories a day if they have cheap food, And so I painted this picture of these chicken eggs, and these chicken eggs then cost nothing to produce. And then the producers are whoa, we could charge, these three companies or whatever it is that own all the eggs are oh, we could charge more for these eggs. So they start just because that's good business, oh, look, and now we can extract profit and capital from our consumers. And so now they're doing, so now they're increasing the price of their eggs. And then it's just building and building and building. And now, while the eggflation is not eggflating at the same rate, the standard price for eggs, just regular eggs in the grocery store, is $5 a dozen. When we were starting out at Philly FoodWorks, the regular price for eggs at the grocery store was $2 a dozen. Okay, so that was this story. Now, our story of our producers, so our producers are raising their chickens. They have a hen house, it rains or whatever, they need cover. There's predators and things like that, they need cover. So the birds live in these hen houses. They have access to outdoors, they have access to open pasture. They run around. They're coming from family farms where a farmer and their family, maybe one or two hired in people who are neighbors, are coming to help with the chickens. People care about their chickens. So I did this interview with this guy, John Esch, and it's and you ask him well, why don't you overpack your house? Why don't you add more birds to your houses? Well, that would be, you think the chickens would like that? I'm no, I don't think they would like that. He's exactly. So why would I do it? Or oh, why don't you use these kinds of different practices? Well, because it's my family who's on the farm. I'm the one who has to go in there. Do you think I'm gonna keep a dirty hen out? I don't want to be interacting with this. We did actually just increase our egg prices from $6 to $6.50. And part of it was driven by an increase in cost of packaging. So I think it was something 25 cents or something like that had gone up. But also it was because, they were coming to us saying guys, we could be selling these, with the way commodity eggs are going right now, we could be selling our eggs for a higher price, on the commodity market. And there was this whole internal dialogue of what do we do here? We're about this ethos that is not about just charging more simply for the reason that we can. And also, we have people who are struggling, and so in this conversation with John, farmers who are struggling, so this conversation with eggs, we settled on 50 cents, which is helping to cover the cost of packaging. And then it's also I said, what are people gonna do with money? He said, well, I want to build an extension on the chicken barn, so that way, there's more covered area, so when it rains, the birds have more access to the outdoors, because right now it rains, they don't really want to go outside. I was oh, that's great. He's everyone has debt, interest rates have all gone, is going up on us. He's I'll sleep easier if I can make an extra, whatever on my eggs. The price of our product reflects the price to produce it. It's not derived based off of what the market can handle. The price of our product is based on what do the people need who are growing it, who are using these practices that are non-extractive. And certainly you could critique it and say like that people are still extracting things and whatever. There's definitely criticisms there, and I'm here for it. Like I appreciate them and stuff, but you're finding a balance. What we are thinking about at Philly FoodWorks is trying to get back into like what actually goes into the production of that food, and think about the use value of food, not as something like as one of the most important things. It's how we nourish ourselves. It's how we spend time with our family. It's how we connect to the world around us. It's how we like experience seasons. It's how we, name a holiday that doesn't have food as like a centerpiece. There is like this circadian rhythm, I'm not saying that word right, but of life, and so like when I eat a predominantly local diet, like it's springtime right now, it's lots of bright greens, it's resurrection, like it's like the environment is like alive, it's like energy, it's like light and fluffy, it's giving me these things I need. In the wintertime, it's like starchy root crops, it's squashes, it's like it's hibernation food, like there's something to living a life that is like in touch with nature, as opposed to being like, it's December and like I want, whatever. I was talking with my father-in-law and was making a salad, and we were just like chatting about stuff, and we were talking about radishes, and he's a Philly FoodWorks customer. Have you had any radishes yet? Oh, I haven't had any radishes. Oh yeah, the spring radishes are in. They're much better. What's the difference? Oh, well, there's storage radishes and spring radishes, and these are early spring radishes, so they're like sweeter than your average radish, and they're not so spicy. As they get later as the season goes on and it gets warmer, they'll become spicier. And it's like that connection to the food and how like, oh my God, I didn't know that a radish, there's like different varieties of radish. Oh yeah, we sell 30 different varieties of radishes at different times of year. Different radishes are grown for different times of year. They taste different as they get exposed to different temperatures. Like all of these things are, that's what you get with a local food system. In a non-local food system, like there's just radish, and radish tastes the same all the time. I think there's also like when we think about like circularity of the economy and like where does our dollar go. So here at Philly FoodWorks, like we did some like rough models, and it was like 92 cents, 94 cents or something of every dollar you spend at Philly FoodWorks stays within 150 miles of Philly FoodWorks. I guess maybe it wouldn't be 94 cents. Anyways, it's like 90 cents. Let's say 90 cents. If anybody would like to do a deep dive into that, I would love the help to really analyze that. But yeah, so for big chain stores, it's like 14 to 30 cents. So when you think about like the dollar spent is like, you're spending this dollar, like that's someone who lives in this area. That's someone who is participating in your economy. If you sell something, or if you are part of this economy or whatever, like you're benefiting from that. That is making this healthier. That is making our little regional economy stronger than that money being extracted and going somewhere else. Circularity within our supply chain. So we talked about crop planning, how crop planning reduces the waste that's coming in. We also then are pretty good at forecasting our purchasing needs, and we use different mechanisms in the market like subscriptions and different things like that help us get tighter ordering. I have a pretty quick turnaround time between ordering to delivery. So all of these things are reducing waste throughout. But at the end of the week, about 4% of everything that we bought in goes to waste. So quote unquote waste, that's just the term that we call it. And that's split into two different things. There's quality waste and there's ordering waste. Quality waste is food that is not really editable. I mean, it's like rotten apples or, whatever. Ordering waste is food that is absolutely editable edible. It's just, we just got too much of it. So all of the food that is edible at the end of the week is donated. So there's a network of community organizations who will come to our warehouse and pick up produce. People kind of know, like, yeah, you hit the pallet. I mean, well, first staff has first dibs. So staff can get everything that they want. And then there's community groups that will come and get stuff. We also do a neighborhood farmers market. That neighborhood farmers market will give out or sell food at like a really reduced price. And then anything that's hasn't gotten donated or taken from there, then gets dropped off at an organization called West Philly Produce. So all of that food is finding a home. Then we have all of our quality waste. So those are the things that were deemed not sellable. You know, we would take it to, we've at certain points, Bennett Compost has picked up our compost. We've also dropped it off at a composting operation outside, like by Lynn Villa. And then we're just like talking with one of the farmers we work with, Winding Lane Farm, as he's known in our online market. John, I'm like, oh wow, you have a really awesome composting system here. Do you want all of our produce? Oh yeah, I love all that produce. That'd be great, you know? So then we bring all of our produce. All right, well, we have these big bins of compost that are super heavy. How are we gonna move these things? Oh, we'll put it in plastic bags. We'll put our compost in plastic bags. Then that way it's easier to unload. Well, now we have waste, you know, now we have plastic bags. So one day I called John and was like, hey, John, like, do you think that I could get these plastic bags back? Because they're a nice plastic bag. I mean, we're talking like 2 millimeter, like it's a good plastic bag. And John's like, oh yeah, I couldn't throw those away. I've been rinsing them all out, and using them in my farm. I can absolutely send them back to you. So now we bring our compost in these really nice plastic bags, we drop it, it goes on John's farm, it turns into greens, that's turning into produce that we're bringing back, and we're bringing back the old bags that have already been very kindly rinsed by John, so we can keep reusing those for our composting system. And no one designed this, there was no venture capital involved, there was no like mastermind, like this is just by being people and communication, looking for ways that we can run our own little things better and thinking about systems that we can create that will be here, you know, in 30, 50, 100 years, whatever it is, when the current systems that we're all accustomed to collapse. I think it's very cool. I'm very proud of this model because this is, I think, an example of something that grows organically. And I think that all, evolution, ecology, like these mind-bending, boggling efficiencies that exist in nature of like leaf structure and how a plant collects water through its leaf, or all these things, like these things all happen over a long period of time through these relationships of like by coexistence. Like if we actually exist together, we will figure things out because like that is what nature does and that is what humans do. I believe in a united front, you know, and I think that like while there might be accountability and we need to like challenge each other and be kind of calling each other out when have we gone too far on the contradiction, whatever. At the end of the day, we need to be in community with one another. No one is going to figure this out on themselves. It's actually impossible because what we're trying to do is a social revolution. So that means inherently it's not going to be one person who figures it out. It's going to be a society that figures it out. And I think that Circular Philadelphia is really like creating a space to even be able to have that conversation. We need to recognize that like there are people who like the type of movement and change that we're talking about in our society, like a revolution, you know, like this is something that is, if it's ever gonna grow beyond just like a personal revolution of like, you know what, I'm gonna buy from Philly Foodworks because I wanna support these local producers, and actually turn into like a social revolution where it's like 66% of everything that everybody buys is sourced within 150 miles, we're going to need to talk, work together, figure these things out together.
That was Dylan Baird from Philly Foodworks. Their online marketplace and farm share are creating a local, sustainable food network around Philadelphia.
Special thanks to Dylan Baird at Philly Foodworks and Munish Narula at Tiffin. You can find out more about Philly Foodworks at phillyfoodworks.com and order from Tiffin at tiffin.com. You can find links to their websites and more in the show notes.
Join us next time as we take a closer look at a cornerstone of the circular economy that's giving products a second life.
Resale!
Yes! I do like it.
The Circle Up podcast is presented by Circular Philadelphia. It was produced by Meredith Nutting at Cool Goon Productions. This podcast was supported by a grant from Penn Treaty Special Services District. If you want to learn more about the circular economy, go to circularphiladelphia.org.